I'm so glad you're with us today on the Clark Howard Show, where, our mission is to serve you and empower you so you make better financial decisions in your life. And today, though, is my special podcast day of the week, my favorite, because it's when I get to hear where you feel I've gotten it wrong. And I get to hear suggestions from you how to give better advice, better information. I love the Clark Stinks segment. Also, the average American wants to retire really, really young. But can you? Are you ready for that? Is it a smart decision? I'm going to tell you some of the things you got to think through before you're really, truly okay to retire early. And now it is time for Clark Stinks.
Okay. The second Clark Stinks I'm going to read is the most popular one we've ever had. Like, it's the most posts I've ever seen on a Clark Stinks.
But it's the second one.
It's the second one. I'm just teasing you, so I'm going to read this one first.
Okay.
You said that exchanges like FTX are not regulated. This is false, big time. In the USA, crypto is heavily regulated for anybody who operates in the States, making it harder for people who use crypto to exchange. Please do your research. Maybe if FTX was a decentralized, you may have been correct. Powell.
So there are going to be a lot of hearings about this in the United States and overseas in legislative bodies and our Congress. $8 billion missing. $8 billion. And you've had crypto after crypto collapse, exchanges collapse, lenders collapse. I mean, this is an area that is chaos, and there is no true underlying financial regulation. If you go back in time to when crypto first became an idea, basically around the time that people lost faith in government-issued currencies with the banking scandals and the Great Recession back starting in 2007, were the real seeds of crypto. Crypto itself has proven not to be reliable and not to be properly regulated. What is proper regulation? I have no idea, but I can tell you the heartache for so many people who bet so big on crypto and now have lost all their money. It is, for some people, life-changing and very upsetting. And we need a system. If I've talked about the underlying architecture that lies behind crypto and all that. There's so much potentially good there, but the system to this point has been a non-functioning system for speculative assets. And what so often happens with speculative assets is there is theft, there is wild swings in value. There's a lot wrong. We're a long way from crypto being a mature, real form of payment. And crypto is not an investment, is not an investment. Crypto, doing what it's supposed to do, is a form of payment and a form of funds that people can use to buy and sell things. It's not there yet.
Okay, so you talked about the easiest way. Well, I'll read this one. Clark may have neglected to mention the best and easiest way to deal with services that automatically renew. In many cases, one can simply opt out of auto renewals almost immediately after subscribing, even on the same day. This can usually be done in the service's website, but in the worst cases, like print magazines and newspapers that Clark seems to love so much, it can be done by calling or emailing customer service and asking to opt out Mike. And then 10 people emailed about the same topic, saying, why don't you take your own advice and use a virtual credit card number? Because we have an article about that on the website, and you've talked about that. And using a virtual credit card number eliminates the worry of an auto renewal.
Okay, so I love this, that so many people are accessing the information on Clark.com, and I love the virtual cards for many, many reasons. and this is yet one more. And it works because I'll get these annoyed emails from services that say, we attempted to process your auto renewal, but your credit card number no longer works, which is why we talk about why you should use the one-time use only credit card numbers.
And I think
one of the reasons.
We talked about privacy.com, which is another site you can use to do the virtual card numbers. Okay, a caller asked for the best time to buy a mattress, and you gave the answer that was probably adequate, but I think you missed one great place for mattresses, your state or local fairgrounds. The mattress dealers who sell there are hyper motivated to deal, and if you're willing to take the floor model, you can save insane amounts of money, and they usually include a better warranty because it's a show special. We got a $14,000 price confirmed at one of their stores later. Adjustable frame split king system with 2 purple mattresses for $3,600 and a 14-year warranty on the frame, $10 for the mattress. And bonus, when they delivered it and set it up, all included, they accidentally brought us the deluxe frame with all the bells and whistles. June is the month for our fair, therefore June is the correct answer for me, Greg.
So I've never heard of buying a mattress at a fairgrounds, and I hope this is like the greatest bet ever because I'm choking on, even on sale, you got 75% off through the fairground sale. That's more money than, I'm kind of shallow breathing, than I'm excited about spending on a mattress. The last one I bought, we paid $499 for a king. And it turned out later I could have gotten it for $479, and I'm still sweating the $20.
Did you lose sleep over that?
Did not lose sleep over the 20.
Clark ranted about not knowing the cancellation policy on Airbnb and VRBO listings, but this information is clearly stated on every listings page. Any traveler can easily scroll down to the terms and check the cancellation policy. I've been a user and the host of Airbnbs for over 10 years, and my cancellation policy is anybody can get a full refund up to 5 days before check-in. Mike.
Mike, first of all, thank you for having a very customer-oriented and friendly cancellation on your Airbnb. What I was saying is that people don't know, not that it's not available, but they have not really looked to see what the policy is often on a VRBO or Airbnb on a cancellation. The other thing I did say is that it's very common that Airbnbs and VRBOs have very strict policies on cancellations. Many are not changeable, and if you can't go, you lose your money. What I'm really about here is that you be aware of what the policy is. And again, I want to congratulate you for having such an extremely customer-friendly policy on cancellations for the property you do rent out.
Clark and Christa's advice on public Wi-Fi stinks. The advice in the early 2010s about not using public Wi-Fi was spot on. People, it's almost 2023 and things have changed. If you're using a VPN, which everyone should be using, several are free, you have nothing to worry about unless I'm missing something. When you use a VPN, even on a hacked Wi-Fi, your communication only goes to one place, the VPN server. The service is encrypted most of the time with military-grade encryption. In turn, your VPN server then goes to the website you requested, gathers the info, and then transmits the screen back to you, again fully encrypted. Help me understand your seemingly bizarre rationale.
Okay, so I can explain it, and it is that very few people ever use a VPN. That if the advice I should give is that if you're going to use, and you said it right, if you're going to use public Wi-Fi, make sure you're using a VPN on your smartphone, your laptop, or your tablet before using that public Wi-Fi would be the right thing to say. My answer is simpler, and that is that I only use the hotspot that is provided with my cell phone to my laptop, and I don't use public Wi-Fi on my cell phone, so I'm on the network of my cell phone provider. I feel safer that way, but your answer is a very valid one. I'm just thinking how few people use a VPN. As for the free ones, a lot of the reviews in the on the tech websites are skeptical of the typical free VPN and tend to prefer that you use a paid VPN rather than a free one. This morning, I was at the bagel shop and I saw a guy I hadn't seen in 2 years. And I asked him, "Are you still working?" He said, No, I retired. And I said, "How's that going?" He said, "Oh, the money's fine. I just am trying to figure out what to do with myself." And so that's actually the two sides of retiring early. Is I know this sounds like a problem that is not a problem. What are you going to do with yourself? But I was talking to a gentleman just a few days before that who told me, yeah, he's got the money to retire. He's never going to retire because he's still traumatized that his dad retired early and went straight downhill because he was one of those people who needed the purpose in life of getting up in the morning and going there and doing something that he just couldn't make it work being retired. So being retired is about more than just dollars and cents. It's like, what do you do after you retire? Do you have hobbies you love? It's not going to the golf course 7 days a week, let me tell you. Not playing pickleball on 5 different leagues at once. That's not enough. Never played pickleball. By the way, are you bothered by that ping sound? It doesn't bother me, but a lot of people hate that sound of the pickleball rackets, but that's a different topic. Anyway, the question about retirement, because when people are asked, so many people want to retire extra early. And you got the money stuff I talk about, which is how are you going to live? The guy I talked to this morning at the bagel shop was one of the fortunate few who had a pension that allows him to live out his days in comfort. And gosh, you got one of those? How great is that? A lot of people who work for government may have a pension. Some people still work for large companies may have a pension. People who work in certain industries, in transportation, may be more likely to have a pension. The rest of us, it's me, myself, and I. What have you saved in a 401k? What have you saved in a Roth IRA? What do you got? Do you still have debt? If you own a home, do you own it free and clear? These are things you got to figure out. And is the money you've got enough to support your lifestyle moving forward? And if you retire well before you're Medicare eligible, how are you going to do the health care thing till you're Medicare eligible? I mean, these are things that are just basic blocking and tackling. And on the money question, there's the 4% rule, which some people now say in current conditions is 3% rule, but I think it's fine to stick with the 4% as you plan. It means, can you live on 4% of what you've saved? Because that's about how much you can afford to spend of the money you built up in retirement. And there are a number of things you look at, including what's your ongoing expenses that you've got to cover. Are you really in a position to do that? And so these things are more check marks you need to be realistic about. The other side of it, though, is this: what are you going to do with your life? Are there hobbies you love? Like, do you have a wood shop and there's things you've wanted to build and maybe sell on the side, and a hobby becomes like a little part-time business? I had the pleasure in my TV work to recently meet a couple that took their hobbies in retirement and now they're making real money selling the things that they make and also selling flowers. And they made this really cool cart and they sell flower arrangements from their home, and they're making real money doing it. The funny thing I heard from them, though, is they're both working a lot more than they intended, with just a little side thing, but it's doing so well. But what do you do with that time? Because if you're not fulfilled, retired days become not as much fun as you'd think. I mean, for me, it would never be an issue because I'm interested in like a million different things. And I'd be volunteering here and volunteering there and volunteering somewhere else. I love to travel, but that can't be everything. And so being engaged and involved in something where you're making a difference in other people's lives in the community, those are the most fulfilling things. Having friends, the network of friends in retirement, very, very important, because retirement can be very isolating. So think about not just the money side. I want you to think about the other side. And if A and B add together to C, you got the resources to be able to retire and retire early, you've got the activities you'll be involved in, then you're good. Because we never know how much life we have in front of us. And if you're a long-time listener to me, you've heard me say all through the years the thing a late Massachusetts senator said when he was diagnosed with a terminal disease and resigned his seat in the U.S. Senate at the height of his power in the U.S. Senate. And he said, I never heard a dying man say he wished he spent more time at his work. And I remember that is so important. Life is more than work, obviously. And so when you've got those check marks for retirement and you know what retirement means and what will work for you, go for it and have a great time. And so that having been said, Christa, goodbye. I'm leaving. You'll have to finish this podcast. It's over.
I know. If you weren't enjoying it, I know you wouldn't do it anymore, but I know
No, I love what I do, and I continue to work, but you got that funny look on your face. Thank goodness you knew I was kidding.
Yes. No, I know. Okay, let's
You just break my legs if I tried to walk out of here and put me in a chair and say, work, Clark, work.
I don't know if I'd break them.
Okay. Oh, what would you do instead?
Just kidding.
Put me in chains or handcuffs or something, keep me working?
No way. Okay, M in Colorado has a question for you. I need to learn about forecasting Roth IRA eligibility. If my W-2 income is $115,000, I'm eligible to put into a Roth IRA and do so on a set amount every month, so it maximizes my Roth contribution by the end of the year. I also, however, have investments that pay dividends that I don't see in my checking account, but somehow make it into my AGI. These dividends could put me over the AGI limit for Roth IRA eligibility. The problem is I don't know the dividends until the 1099s come out in the beginning of the following year, after I've already maxed the contribution to the Roth IRA for the current year. What do I do? The market is volatile, so how do I know if I'm Roth IRA eligible?
All right, so this is why Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs, you're allowed to contribute in the following year for the prior year because of this problem. There are people that are on that income bubble that may be found to be income ineligible later on. Because in Congress's wisdom, they've decided if you make what they consider to be too much, you are not worthy to be a saver for your future. Don't get it. Anyway, that's what they do. So in your case, you should not take advantage of dollar cost averaging, of contributing an equal amount through the year. Instead, what you do is you save that money. Now in an online savings account, you can earn decent parking space money on it, decent interest. And you got to wait till you've got your 1099s after the turn of the year, in early 24. You see that your dividends and all that keep you below the income limit, single limit, $138,000 now for 23. And then you make that contribution before you file your return in 24. It means you lose gains that may have occurred throughout tax year 23 by being able to dollar cost average in. but you're still able to make those Roth contributions for 23 and know that you're fine with the tax code.
Paul in Michigan says, I'm very fortunate to be receiving a lump sum pension. I'm confident in the stock market and plan to invest most of it in a variety of stock market index funds within my 401k and will be accessing funds through the rule of 55. I read, see, and hear conflicting advice on whether to invest it all at once or dollar cost average over X period of time. What is your advice?
I love dollar cost averaging because the psychological harm, if you put in a lump sum and all of a sudden the market has a big decline, and then it takes years to make up from that big decline. The math, though, over the decades finds that on average, you end up with more money putting in lump sums than putting it in equal amounts month after month over a dollar cost averaging cycle. The psychological, though, is very important because people can feel devastated if they worked hard through a working lifetime, get that lump sum, and then bam, it gets blown away in short order. So I'd say if you would lose sleep, you would be twisted in knots. If there was a big decline right after you put in a lump sum, go with dollar cost averaging as a way of peace of mind, putting this money aside for your future.
And Charlie in Georgia says, my spouse's parents both passed last year.
Very sorry.
And left her a generous inheritance. Her parents used a well-known firm that she wants to stay with her parents' advisor, who is in another state. She feels this advisor has helped manage her parents' money well, and she very much respected her parents' judgment. But from what I've read, their fees seem very high to me. What is your advice? And P.S. The inheritance was split between several children, so her parents' total investment with this company was much higher than even what she received.
So there's several things to unpack here. She felt like her parents had great judgment. She probably feels some sentimental thing to using the person who her parents used. She may not feel comfortable being with a firm that doesn't have this kind of individual. It's a high commission firm owned by a bank. I never recommend that people do investing ever with the investment arm of a big bank because the fees are so high. The individual she would be with probably is not legally a fiduciary either, meaning that they can put her in investments that are not best for her because it gives that individual, the salesman at the bank-based brokerage, more money in his or her pocket. So this is tough because also with the money being divided multiple ways, none of them individually are as important to this broker in another state as the parents were with their combined assets. There are a lot of reasons that would say not to be with this ultra high commission, full commission brokerage house. I would use this as a decider as a recommendation to your wife. She's got to be happy with the decision she's making, and don't push her to make a decision she's not comfortable with. But I'd say that if this individual is not acting in a fiduciary capacity, meaning that legally they are required to do what's in the best interest of your wife, then she should not be with that person. The fees alone would not tip it away from being with this person because of the prior family connection and the sentimental nature involved with that. And performance over the next several years may force a change in how she feels about this anyway, and she may be willing at that point to move to a lower cost firm. But if this individual is not a fiduciary, then that's a deal breaker, and that would be why she should move this money away from that broker. And I want to tell you, again, express to your wife, if you would, my sympathies over the loss of both of her parents in such a short period of time. And I want to thank you for being part of our community here. We work in all the capacities that we connect to you to serve you as best we can, as our head and our heart tells us is the best way to serve you. And that's what we want to do at Clark.com, ClarkDeals.com, here on the podcast, and all the ways that we may reach you and provide you information that empowers you in your life to take more control over it. And I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.